Welcome to Market Like a Hot Shot. Jeff DeSocio, James Feudo. James Feudo, what's up?
Not much. It has been like an interesting week that I think both of us had. And
episode 20.
Yeah, we're finally at episode 20.
Episode 20. Wow. Man, you put up with me for 20 episodes so far?
Hey, almost half a year.
Half a year. So yeah, it's been a heck of a week, huh?
It definitely has.
Really, we're tailing in Q4. We always talk business here, October. Right. Banging into celebrities half the time. How about you?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've had, there was the event you and I went to earlier this week, and then we divided and conquered last night, which is really cool. So, both of us out there and about in the community or in the state, all over the place.
The state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, the big Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
So
I know Tuesday, I went to this event down in Gillette, man. It was nice seeing all those championships, banners at Gillette Stadium. Have everyone ever been down there? I don't know if, of course, here locally, they have a lighthouse. It's actually the tallest lighthouse on the East Coast.
Really?
Believe it or not, yes. And you go up there, they have a viewing deck. You can go up there, and you could see, like, one way you could see Boston, the other way you could see New Hampshire almost, and you can see Providence, Rhode Island even, right from this lighthouse. And, this time of year with those that great foliage we have here was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a beautiful time of year to be outside.
So, we had Stefan Diggs from the Patriots. I met him, shook his hand, man. He had, the best quote. It sticks to me today. Your next play should be your best play. So think about that one for a minute, right? So you always don't want to go into it half-assed, right?
True.
Anything you do in life, you want to give your all, and that's a great quote. I don't know if it's his quote, but I love that quote.
No,
that was
makes
good.
A lot of sense.
And I even heard Cardi B was in the house too, but it was she was kind of keeping it on the lowdown at Gillette Stadium there. Yeah, Cardi B is going to be our version of Taylor Swift, I guess, right? At Patriot games.
Yeah.
So we're doing some WAP rapping. You know what I mean?
She was the host for SummerSlam, WWE SummerSlam this summer.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't even remember what she did.
Who knows, right? So, no, that was great. And, we had, like you said, last night you were at Dave & Buster's for your Metro West Chamber event.
Right.
And AMA Boston, we were at this place called Jewels on Devonshire, right in the financial district. So we had a great crowd there. Shout out to everyone that came to that event last night. But, the what I've been hearing a lot of is how do you measure marketing? And I know I got a story, but do you have anything to bring up that you've run into as owning a marketing company where you had that tough potential customer that said, dude, really, why do I need to waste all this money on this stuff?
No, exactly. And I think this will lead in a little bit to the story that you have to share, because we were talking about this, how a lot of folks older than we are.
Yeah.
They think
white hair.
Yeah, I mean the ones, that that need the hair coloring and such. But a lot of folks, a lot of old school folks would, marketing used to be print and TV and radio, and it's really, really difficult to measure that.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of them don't really understand what the return is. But you were sharing the story. Why don't you tell the hotshots about that?
The hotshots out in the world there, hey, hotshots.
Tell them all about it.
So I was at a meeting with some colleagues, and they're they're older. I don't know. I want to stereotype old people because some cool old people.
Yeah.
But they're like, all this marketing stuff's a waste of time. Why am I wasting my time on this? Why am I wasting my time on LinkedIn? Why am I wasting my time on X or all those other platforms? It's great posting stuff, but really, what is that return? And what I just took a step back as being a marketing professional here, and I think honestly, think about how you build your business. Number one, what's your alternative? Really?
To marketing?
I mean, are you gonna pick up the phone? Are you gonna go bang on doors? Maybe that's. I know my grandfather. He sold insurance, Prudential Insurance, and he went knocking on doors. Or that's not really marketing. That's sales. That's pure sales, right? But marketing, I was mentioning is marketing is you use marketing to attract the right qualified leads to close deals.
Right.
So yeah, so really in reality, you gotta like target when you do a post. Always target your audience, and you started saying, "Oh yeah." And the other thing is, you could measure marketing, especially digital marketing. You can't, like you mentioned, you can't measure uh, getting one of those flyers at your house
Right.
that I constantly just rip up and throw them. Like you may send out 1,000 direct mail flyers to a neighborhood, and how do you even know if somebody even like was receptive to that?
Right.
Whereas if it's online, you do. There's clicks. I know we'll get into clicks and followers in a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
but do you really reality? Yeah, he's right, and I get a little tentative with marketing too, and always want to like kind of focus, but
Yeah. You want to see a return, and that's, sometimes it's difficult to show that if you don't know how to measure it, you don't know how to actually show a return with it. So,
yeah, that's why we're talking about measuring like a hotshot today, right?
right.
So like why does measurement matter? Why does it matter?
Well, it goes back to a lot of our clients, they do want to see a return on investment. So, if they're spending money to send out an email, if they're spending money on a social media ad, or even just social media posting and outsourcing it, they want to make sure that they're getting something back from it. So it's important to, you've got to measure what you're doing even outside of marketing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're not measuring what you're doing, it's like driving blindfold
Right.
on the Mass Pike and you miss your exit.
Yeah.
Or you crash into somebody or whatever. But so you have to.
Exactly.
It's just like anything else. Just like you do a project at school, it has an end state. What's your end state? What are you trying to reach, right? And you have to measure towards that.
Right.
We do that in recruiting. We do that with, send outs and client calls and all that. But then the end state is revenue. So everybody out there, your end state is to make money for your company, right? So how do you measure towards that, right?
Right. I mean, you want to know what's working, what isn't. You don't want to just spend a lot of money just for likes. There's that whole vanity aspect of it, right?
Oh yeah, vanity likes. Dude, I have 2,000 followers now. All right, how much money are you making?
Right. And I mean, you and I were part of a group where there was somebody that promoted a social media program a while ago, and people would be like, "Oh, I took the program and my engagement shot up." And we're both like, "Wow, that's really cool." But then when you talk to these people, it's like, great. So, you've gone from 0 social media engagement to, hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And you know what ended up happening? Oh, just got my house repossessed. Oh, now I'm driving my bike. I lost my car. You know what happened? They're not making the money. Yeah,
Right.
they're getting all the likes.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of that stuff, but the problem is they're part of somebody's group where we talked about this, I think, last episode, like similar to a posting pod, where they're getting a lot of engagement, but they're not really getting any business out of it. And I see that a lot of times too, where people they'll post something, they'll get the same 20 or 30 people liking, commenting, and
Did they buy anything
yeah,
from them?
it's like, what are they
Did
buying?
they refer them? So those are kind of measurement points right there. Did you make money? Did you close a deal, or did you even get a referral to the right? Referring a quality potential client or customer to you, right? Because you hear about people spending $2,000-3,000 a month,
right,
just to get likes.
Yeah.
When I get those emails, you ever get those emails from like, I'll get you thousands of leads. If I get one more of those, I'm going to throw my laptop through a window. I really am. Okay, cool. What makes you different? All right. What's your proof? Have you made people money? Do you and I see my old school colleague, what he meant. How marketing, sometimes you're a little leery about it because so many people are out there. I'm getting you leads. I'm getting you likes. It's followers.
Yeah.
Cool. You look cool in a Lamborghini, man, with all those followers. But do you really own a Lamborghini?
Yeah. Or you can do what a lot of these people that advertise on YouTube do, and you rent the Lamborghini, you rent the yacht. It's like, follow my coaching program and get all of this stuff. But it's funny, we're talking about a lot of things, which kind of leads me into our next segment, which is the myths versus the reality when it comes to measure things. So like we've already touched on that first one, right? Which
More
is more traffic does not necessarily mean more success, right?
It's like no success being jammed in traffic on the Mass Pike down in Boston.
I mean,
like the other night, man, you're like,
yeah,
there's so much traffic. Jeez. That's Boston.
Well, actually, and I mean, like that's the thing. It's like you sit in there and we see it on the way coming westbound when we head in there. But I mean, the thing that people need to really understand is that if it doesn't count, it's really just noise, and that's what it is. Getting a lot of likes, a lot of comments that aren't converting to business is one thing. On the opposite, I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but I've run into people and they're like, "Oh, I love all your posts on LinkedIn," or "I love what you're doing," and I'm like, "Really? I don't even see you interact with anything." They don't interact, but they know about it.
Yeah.
And they're telling people about it.
Yeah.
That is what, you're not necessarily able to measure that.
You can't. I mean, let's, like you said, likes.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, we always talk about share, like, comment, repost, right? How many of those are happening with your posts out there?
Right.
But does it really lead? What did it lead to? And, and that's the question. We'll get into how you actually track and lead that, right? And then, but at the end of the day, likes and follows are proof of growth. You're growing if your craft or your product or your service is getting out there.
Right.
Versus going knocking on doors as my grandfather did back in 1955. How many doors can you knock on, right?
Exactly.
Right. So, but it's a quicker way to get those vanity metrics up.
Yeah, I mean, vanity doesn't mean revenue, and engagement. Engagement matters to some extent, but it's really the conversions that people care about.
Converge. So, some of the tools you might want to use is that's what a CRM is for.
Exactly.
Right. A CRM. You have to have a CRM if you have a business.
Yeah.
There's no. You're not going to use an Excel spreadsheet. All right, and those polls are good. Or you ask them, how did you find out about us? Right.
Right.
It's too hard to measure. That's why it's hard. It's very manual. It's manual labor.
Right. A lot of people say that ROI is really difficult to measure. But to your point, if you have your CRM set up correctly, like what we do on our side is all of our outreach efforts lead back to a page where they can go in and book a meeting with us.
Yeah.
And on that, we capture how they found out about us. Did you find out through SEO? Somebody called me the other day. He's like, I found you on Google. I'm like, excellent.
Yeah.
Means what we're doing is working.
Hey,
but we capture that in our CRM.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is to make sure that you're using a CRM, because a lot of, especially the micro businesses and the solopreneurs, they're just, they're writing it down on a sheet of paper, like you said, an Excel spreadsheet.
Maybe a sticky note.
Yeah. Or maybe they have it organized in their email inbox. I mean, you want to do what works for you, right? But
that's, CRM tying. How about a CRM that ties into your invoice tracking system?
Right.
All right.
That is really good.
I got a solution for that. Check out AIMCBizSolutions.com. And you see my affiliate link, but that's how you want to track the end-to-end process. I call it leads to cash.
Yeah.
Right. Marketing, get you the right leads, convert, cash, business. Right. And speaking of cash, going back to my older colleague, marketing is a cost center. What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people see marketing strictly as an expense. We run into that all the time because people are like, oh, I don't know that I want to invest in this because it's going to cost me money. And I'm like, I look at it often. I'll sit there and be debating whether or not to spend like a couple $100s on something. And I'm like, hey, if it brings me in one client, it's more than worth it. Yeah. But people don't see it that way a lot of times. They're just like, oh, I got to spend this and I want to cut spending. And it's, when it's done right, it's more of an investment. And a lot of people just don't understand that. So that's one of the marketing myths out there is.
Yeah, marketing's it's like IT.
Right.
IT is a cost center, right?
Yeah.
But if IT goes away, technology goes away, the business is out of business.
Right.
So what do you think? If you don't market your product or service the right way and measure it the right way, you're going to be out of business. This just irks me sometimes. Sorry, man. But it's just, what is the alternative? When people say that stuff, I get it. You gotta measure and it's work, but
The alternative is you go out of business.
you just go out of
I hate to
business.
say it that way,
You,
but like that's really what it is.
I mean, again, are you gonna go back to 1955? Really? Because that model was. I'm going right to sales.
Yeah.
There's no marketing involved. Maybe your marketing was wearing a nice suit, right? Knocking on somebody's door. Hey, let's buy some. Use Prudential insurance, right? I want to hear it out there. Put some comments on our post. There's an alternative to it. So, all right,
No, but I mean, I remember I worked for a printing company in the early 90s, and they didn't have a marketing department. They had a ton of salespeople there, not a ton, but 12, 15 people in the sales department for a printing company. And it was funny that I remember talking with two of the guys in there, and they were two of the older dudes too that were part of the sales team.
Yeah.
And they would talk about marketing. And it's like that was my first, it was young at the time. It was my first real exposure to marketing because they were talking about all these different things that they wanted to do. And they're like, yeah, we're the unofficial marketing department. They were way ahead of their
That's
time.
good. I like that because, and this is another way to look at it, right? Imagine getting a slide deck about something you don't give a damn about.
Mm-hmm.
That's a salesperson trying to present their product. They don't even know if you're a qualified lead or not.
Right.
You don't want to really put your product or service in front of an unqualified lead.
Yeah.
You might ask them for referrals, but it goes back to my skiing buddy that was trying to sell me, hey, I'm the best ski instructor in the world. And I will never ski in my life ever again. How do you know that? So it's all about qualified leads. And that's what marketing is so important. The more you put your product and service in front of qualified leads, the more conversions and the more money you're going to get.
Right.
Right?
It's so true because I've seen people where they'll, the same approach as us, set up meetings, we call it a complimentary consultation. And when you go into their forum to set up a time with them and book online, and here's a quick hotshot tactic that
I like tactics.
If you're not using a tool to automatically set up meetings with you, there's a whole bunch of them out there that are excellent to use. There's Calendly, there's TidyCal, and they integrate right with either your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, even your Outlook calendar if you're on Microsoft 365. So there are tools out there. You can get away often even with the free version of it. So you should have something like that. And I've seen people go in and they qualify their leads on there, and it'll say flat out, can you afford a product at this price range?
Yeah.
Now, what it does is it turns people away. On one hand, that's one of the cons of it is that people may look at it before they realize the value of it, and may get turned away. We don't use that on our intake for work, but what we do use it is on our intake for interns. This is something that I know we talk about our internship program all the time, but I'll put on there, I understand it's not a remote position because our intern program are not remote. And I'll have people from Ohio, Florida, they live and go to school outside of Massachusetts. And I'm like, yep, coming over to Framingham.
That's be a heck of a commute.
Yeah.
You have your own plane.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be thoughtful of the situations when you want to do that. The same thing is that we had an opening for a senior web designer, and I had a whole bunch of really detailed qualifications, and I would have them check off on the form. I meet this, I meet this, I meet this. And you and I talked about this when we did Hire Like a Hotshot. You have your non-negotiables and you have your negotiables, right? And we're it goes along the same thing with the interns and I don't want to get into too much detail. I'm talking way too much about this stuff now. But that's something that you can do is use a tool like that and pre-qualify your leads before they even get to you.
Exactly. So speaking of that, so that's the first thing I was going to say. What do you actually measure? How does it? We're kind of thinking about the all the items you need to measure in order to get to the ultimate goal, like lead sources. Where are your best you have to understand where your best clients are coming from,
Exactly.
right?
So you want to know what those lead sources are.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, networking is probably number one.
Yeah.
Straight up, because you get referrals, and you get that personal touch versus the social ads and SEO. Those, it's great, but how many of those leads are qualified when it's a human interaction and they know you personally, and you get that referral? That's so lead sources. And then how are you understanding if your lead sources turn into a paying customer?
Yeah, I mean, you want to understand your conversion rate. So in our case, we track it in our CRM. So
Bingo, CRM. Hear this,
Yeah.
everybody out there? We have to have a CRM like a Hotshot thing soon.
we really should,
Yeah.
because
I don't
CRMs.
want to be like a commercial for a particular CRM.
Well, you use one CRM, and I do think there's a lot of value in that because we can show our experiences with CRMs are quite different because you have one that you have an off the shelf one.
Yeah.
Ours is built in house.
Yeah.
So
Sell it one of these days, huh? Get that Lamborghini. What do you think, huh?
Yeah. Well, just in CRM sales, but yeah, I mean, you want to track, you want to understand your conversion rate. So
Yeah,
you
that's
want
a
to
big
see like a list of leads and how many of them you've actually converted, because that's a lot of questions that will come up if sometimes we help advise people,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things. It's like, well, how many people do you need to talk to? It's like you know how much money you need to make. So like if we kind of work our way backwards,
As much
right?
as possible.
Yeah, but it's like if you have a goal that you're trying to meet, it's like, all right, you're selling. We won't say Lamborghinis because that's too easy to make a lot of money that way. But like I don't know, maybe you're selling like vitamins, right? And you make $5 on every jar of vitamins.
Actually, I make more.
No, we got to buy yours. So we'll say 10. We'll say you're Jeff. You're Jeff selling vitamins, and you make $10 for every
bottle I sell.
Every bottle you sell. And if you're trying to make $100,000, that turns into 10,000 bottles that you need to sell. And then you kind of work your way back onto that. Well, how many people do you need to talk to sell the 10,000 bottles, right?
I don't need to talk to anybody, man.
Yeah, you just do it online. But like if you had something that was a lot more expensive and you kind of scale that back a little bit, so like maybe you need to sell 100 a month.
Yeah.
How many people do you need to talk to convert them? And that's where your conversion rate really helps.
And then it's all about customer acquisition cost.
Right.
We got some terminologies here.
CAC.
CAC. How much does it cost to win a new client? And it's almost like your time, right? Any tools you're using to, if you're doing social media ads, or if you're using an SEO like a Jumpstart SEO, or like, how do you track that? Because you have a business,
right? And I mean, it's a factor of the amount of time I spend, the amount of money we spend on advertising, or like every piece of it that goes into acquiring that client. And some people have different formulas for what they use. We do things a little in a unique way, but often what it'll be is it's like you look at your marketing related expenses, and then you figure out how many customers you've gained from that effort, and then you just divide the two and get like if you're spending $10,000 a month.
Is it like calculus now?
No, it's not even algebra. It's just like simple division.
Division, all right. Because it's like it's like x to the squared power or something.
You can do funky things like that, but like high level, what you really want to do is just be like, all right, we spent, you're a restaurant. We spent $10,000 on advertising this month. We brought in 100 customers. So, so it's like whatever. It's $100.
$100, like a bottle of vitamins, right?
Yeah.
So how about customer lifetime value, right? So that is one client. You're almost like tracking that client, like the journey, the customer journey, the client journey. Because you may score a client, you build a website for them in your case, right? But then the upsell. How do you track all that?
I mean, like in our case, we'll bring a customer in to do a website design. And then we have, renewals and subscriptions that they can get. Sometimes they'll get a marketing plan through us as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's like you look at what the lifetime value of a customer is by looking at what all your customers are spending and dividing it by your number of customers.
There
So
you
it's
go.
like
That's the
gives
C.
you it's
That's
a,
the CLV.
yeah, it's like it's your average. All this stuff is averaging, you know.
Yeah. Then you could get down to the nitty gritty here, return on ad spend, right? So that's like, for what every dollar you spend, what is your return? Like, how much comes back? And you want it to be where, of course, you want it the ratio to be you're getting more back than you're spending,
Right.
and then you'd be out of business, right? So how do you track that? Is that another CRM? Part of the CRM?
I mean, often the ad tools themselves will track that if you automate it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have ways to do it, you know, it I hate to use the term it depends, but like I feel like we have to use it most of the time. It really does depend.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are actually ways that you can get that automated where, you know, you're spending you're running an ad campaign, it goes to a particular landing page, and then you capture people that have been captured on that landing page, and that gives you your data right there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
good stuff. And then, then you have the deals, right? Shorter cycles, faster growth.
Yeah.
I always say, like, the bigger the deal, the longer it takes.
True.
Most 90% of the time, we in the recruiting business, same thing.
Yeah.
It takes longer to recruit a CEO versus an individual contributor.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can. But there's always exceptions too. Like in our business, it's all over the place with stuff like that. I mean, we may have somebody that has a giant project. Like we've had people that they've gone in one direction and didn't work out, and they still have the same deadline, and they're like, "Hey, can you jump in and take this?" Yep. So that was a big project we had to jump in on once. But like we were talking this morning, I was telling you about a client that we've been talking for 3 years, and then
3 years.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. You never give up. Consistency. Yeah. Stay in touch. That's networking like a hot shot, right? Follow up, because you never know. And then, there was an example I had out there, right? This is some local business. I think it was a garage or something like that. They started doing Facebook ads, and they're like, it's not working. But when they tracked, this goes back to tracking where your customers are coming from. They found out 40% were coming from those ads.
Right.
So you never know. Without that measurement, without doing that measurement, they would have never known what's working for them or not. They were thinking they were spending all this money, and turned out if you're properly tracking where your customers are coming from. So you want to know that. That's really key. That goes back to spend $1, make $1, or make $5. You want to. That's a CRM again. CRM like a hot shot. Once again, it's
that'll be an upcoming episode, definitely.
So let's land the plane a little bit. We're overwhelming people with all these terms today.
Yeah,
there will be a quiz, a hot shot quiz. It's take home, I think, right? Want to make it take home?
Yeah.
What do you think? Start with one or two key metrics. Don't get too crazy, right? I just like the conversion metric. Conversion's the number one, right? Yeah. Are they converting or not, right? Google Analytics. Are you a big Google Analytics person?
Because of what we do, I go in there. There's a lot of different. There's a lot of value. I'm a data person too, so there's a lot of value
You're
in
a
there
geek.
for me. Yeah, I love looking at things, and they have this really cool tool where you can see where somebody enters your website.
Yeah.
And then what path they take through the website. So
how do you know when they buy something though?
Right, and you can track that on there as well. If you've got everything integrated correctly, it'll actually track that for you too.
Okay.
But it's one of my favorite charts on there, and they do a nice visual job of it where you can expand it and see, like, maybe you have a home page, you have other entry points, and then you go from your home page to your about page or to your services page, and then you can just kind of you get on the spider web with that. It's like the rabbit hole.
All right, we're not trying to overwhelm people here, James. Come on, And another thing is, review your stats monthly. Don't go crazy every single day, because after all, you have to work on your business, right?
Yeah.
So they call it metric whiplash. It's like a baseball team when they have too many stats. Just
Yeah.
because they haven't hit the freaking ball, you know?
Well, something that's kind of interesting related to stats is that I do look at mine daily, but one thing that I do with it is that we get alerts when there's spikes in traffic.
Well, that's actually a very good tool to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we had a client, they put out a newsletter, their traffic went up like by thousands of, within an hour, they had thousands of page views. So of course, like, I'm like, is this a distributed denial of service attack, or is it, so I go in there and I'm like, oh yeah, they just sent out a newsletter. But like, it's interesting you can get alerted for spikes, I don't mean to go off topic on this, but I feel like it's important.
Yeah.
So traffic is important to watch, but like, as you said, unless you're in the business of tracking stats, it's like, yeah, once a month looking in, are you growing from month to month?
Yeah. Like match it to revenue.
Right.
That is it website hits to revenue, right? Conversion. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing I want everyone out there to understand is how to do your conversion. Understand your conversion rate. What's working, what works the best. Have a multi-channel approach all times. Nothing like human interaction, right? And human referrals probably are like the top thing. So this is a really great topic. I talked at the AMA Boston event last night. Probably half the attendees were data people.
Really?
Marketer researching, data analytics, because let them do the job for you. And that's another tip I have out there. Don't, if you're great at plumbing or you're a great chef, be a great chef. Let the experts help you understand. That's why you have to always outsource your marketing. Not to be blunt, you can have your own internal team if you're big enough, but you got to have people do it. That's another, probably my last hotshot tip of the day is time is money. And you got to spend your time to make money, right? It's the biggest thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Episode 20.
Covered a lot today.
Lots of data. I love it. So, what you're going to do out there, right? You subscribe, mark it like a hotshot, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio. And you want to see these cute dimple faces? You got to go to YouTube, right? And we're on our AMC Business Solutions YouTube channel and the JVF Solutions YouTube channel. I have a Market Like a Hotshot playlist on my channel. So if you go to the playlist, you can see all 20 of our episodes so far, right? And last but not least, in the final, it's getting cold out there. So you got to also get yourself a Market Like a Hotshot hoodie. Stay warm. What do you think, James?
Yeah, especially the temperature's dipping into the 30s and 40s over the next couple of days. Definitely going.
So we should be getting our emails from our friends from Florida very soon saying, haha, you're cold.
Right.
Very soon, right? All right. We'll see you all soon. Market Like a Hotshot, episode 20. Measure like a hotshot. Have a great day.